Hey guys, let's go ahead and get started with this video and make sure that we are on item number 40, 5.5, solving equations with rational exponents, day 2. So going over the steps, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to isolate the term with the power or the exponent. We're going to do that by raising each side of the equation by the reciprocal of the rational exponent. The rational exponent is because it's a fraction, and we're going to do that by multiplying it by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3/4 will be 4/3. Then we are going to check for extraneous solutions. Those are the ones that do make the equation not true. Okay, so we're not going to put not a solution. We're actually going to put that it is an extraneous solution. It is a certain type of solution. So let's go ahead and start with these ones. You are going to need your calculator today, so make sure that you've got one of those in front of you. All right, so solve and checking for extraneous solutions. The first thing I need to do is I need to take the base and the fraction exponent, and I need to isolate that. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2 from each side of the equation. So I will have 2x in parentheses to the 2/3 power, and that is going to equal 16. Okay. Now, to get rid of that 2/3 exponent, I am going to go ahead and multiply that by the reciprocal, which is 3/2. Now, to show that I'm going to multiply that, it's going to be a power to a power. We could use parentheses, and put 3/2 here. But I'm going to show you another way. If you're not somebody who likes to use double parentheses, you can also use brackets. They're going to do the same thing. They mean the exact same thing. All right, so here I have 2x to the 2/3 power times the 3/2 power. The 2 in the numerator and the 2 in the denominator cancel out. The 3 in the numerator and the 3 in the denominator cancel out. And we still have 2x equals, and on the other side, we've also got to multiply that by 3/2, because whatever we do to one side, we've got to do to the other. Now, this 16 to the 3/2, I'm going to show you how to do it without a calculator, and then I'm going to walk you through on what to type in your calculator. So if I didn't have a calculator, I could go ahead and rewrite this rational as a radical. So I have 16 squared to the 3rd power. Okay, so the square root of 16 to the square root. Square root of 16 is 4. And then 4 to the 3rd power gives me 64. So we would have 2 times x is equal to 64. All right, so let's say that I didn't want to do this middle step here. Let me highlight it. Okay. Instead of rewriting it as a radical, you can actually go ahead and plug this in your calculator. So in your calculator, go ahead and type in 16, then hit the y to the x button. 16 y to the x, 3, our fraction button, which is the ABC button, 2. So let me say that all one more time without stopping. 16 y to the x, 3 ABC 2. Once you hit equal, you should get 64. Okay, so then we're going to divide both sides by 2. And I will get x equals 32. Now we're going to go ahead and take that solution and we're going to check it to see if it is a solution or an extraneous solution. So I'm going to take our equation. I have parentheses 2 times 32. That's the x value, to the power of 2/3 plus 2. And when I simplify that, that should equal 18. If it does, it's a solution. If it doesn't, then it is an extraneous solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and use our calculators on this one. So I'm going to walk you through the entire process on your calculator, and then I'll show you how I would do it without a calculator. So in your calculator, we're going to do multiplication first. We're going to do 2 times 32. So now we have 64. We're going to do 64 y to the x, 2abc3. Go ahead and hit equal, and on that one, you should get 16. And then 16 plus 2 gives me 18. So I've got 18 equals 18. Now, since that is a true statement, x equals 32 is a solution. So if you didn't have the calculator, or you tried it without the calculator, it's a little bit of a longer process, but you can still do this. So you'd have 64 to the 2/3 power plus 2. And you could rewrite that as 64, the third root of 64, and then that value is going to be squared. The cube root of 64 would give me 4. 4 squared is 16, and 16 plus 2 gives us 18. Okay, so easier to do with the calculator. Every one that we do, I'm going to walk you through the calculator, but know that there is a way to actually do it without a calculator. All right, so let's go on to problem number 2 on this one here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to identify, or I am going to identify, the base and the rational exponent. So I can see that I need to get rid of negative 10. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So that'll leave me with x to the 1/4 is equal to negative 2. Now I've got to get rid of that rational. So the opposite of 1/4 is 4/1, or you could just write 4. The 1/4 and the 4/1, they will reduce to 1. So then I will have x equals, in your calculator, type in negative 2, y to the x. You can hit 4 and hit enter, or you can hit negative 2, y to the x, 4abc1, and then hit enter. Either way, your answer should be 16. So once we have the solution 16, we need to check that. So I've got 16 to the 1/4 power minus 10, and I'm looking to see if this equals 12. So in your calculator, go ahead and type in 16 y to the x, 1 fraction 4, or 1 ABC4, hit equal, and then minus 10. Hit equal, and you should have gotten negative 8, which negative 8 is not equivalent to negative 12. So I'm going to go ahead and put a slash through there to show that they are not equal. That means that x equals 16 is an extraneous solution. All right, let's go on to number 3. On number 3, this one here, first thing we're going to do is notice that the base and the exponent are already by themselves. Okay, so there's nothing that I have to move over. So I need to get rid of that rational value of 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply it by the reciprocal, which is 2/1. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 2/1 is the same thing as 2. So on the left side, I will have x plus 1 times x plus 1, because that whole value is being squared. On the right side, we will have 7x plus 15. All right, let's go ahead and do some distribution here. Remember, these brackets are just like our parentheses. So we have x times x gives me x squared. X times 1 gives me positive x. 1 times x is positive x. And 1 times 1 is positive 1. On the right side, we haven't done anything. 7x plus 15. Combine these two here in the middle. So we have x squared plus 2x plus 1. We still have 7x plus 15. So I've got to go ahead and set this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 7x on this side and subtract 7x on the left side. Going ahead to do two steps at once, I'm going to subtract 15 from the right side, subtract 15 from the left side. So I will have x squared minus 5x minus 14 is equal to 0. Now we're going to go ahead and factor that. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 14 and add to negative 5. And that will be negative 7 and positive 2. Okay, let's go ahead and use zero product property to finish solving this. So I've got x minus 7 is equal to 0. And in that case, that gives me x equals 7. Then I'm also going to do x minus 2 equals 0. I'm sorry, x plus 2 equals 0. And that one is going to give me x equals negative 2. Okay, we've got our two solutions, so we need to check them both. So on the very first one, I've got 7 plus 1 on the left side. And then I have 7 times this 7 right here. So 7 times 7 plus 15 to the power of 1/2. 7 plus 1 on the left side gives me 8. On the right side, let's go ahead and use our calculator for all this. Okay, so walking it step by step and just stopping after each one. First thing, we do multiplication first. So 7 times 7 is 49. Once you have 49, then you've got 49 plus 15 is 64. And then we're going to do 64 to the 1/2 power. Okay, so we're going to have 64 y to the x 1 ABC 2, or 1 fraction 2. The ABC is what the button on your calculator says. And that there will give us that there will give us 8. And 8 equals 8. This one here is valid, so that means that x equals 7. This one is a solution. Now we've got to go check if negative 2 is a solution. It could also come out to be an extraneous solution, so we've got to check them both. So on this one, we've got negative 2 plus 1 is equal to 7 times negative 2 plus 15. All raised to the power of 1/2. This side here is what I'm going to do in the calculator. So negative 2 plus 1 gives me negative 1. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Negative 14 plus 15 gives me positive 1. And I need 1 to the 1/2 power. So in your calculator, 1 y to the x, and then 1 fraction 2. And that comes out to negative 1 equals 1, which is a false statement. So x equals negative 2. This is an extraneous solution. Okay, one more to work out together. Number 4. All right, on number 4, first thing we're going to do is isolate the x to the 1/3. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. still have to isolate x to the 1/3, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And I have x to the 1/3 power equals 4. Now let's take the reciprocal of 1/3, so that's going to be 3/1 or just 3. Same thing on this side, 3/1 or just 3. The 1/3 and 3/1 cancel out. So I've got x equals 4 to the 3rd power, which gives me 64. All right, let's go check that solution. So I have 4 times 64 to the 1/3 power plus 7, and I would like to see if it comes out to equal 23. Okay, now remember PEMDAS as you're working this out. The first thing we're going to do is what's in parentheses. Can we simplify 64? That is already simplified. So then we do exponents. 64 to the 1/3 power. So you're looking for the cube root of 64. Okay. So you're looking for some number times itself 3 times to give me 64, and that would be 4. Okay, so then you've got 4 times 4, and that gives us 16. So that part there, you have 16 plus 7, and 16 plus 7 comes out to be 23, which equals 23. And that is a solution. So x equals 64 is a solution. All right, so your homework for tonight is the back side of this worksheet. It's problems numbers 1 through 4. And I want you also to attempt number 5 on the back side. Make sense of what you can. We'll also be going over them in class tomorrow. So I want you to come back with some questions on those ones. All right, have a great night.